Yes, yes. Welcome to the ancient world of tabletop games. I am Agamemnon from the historical documentary Time Bandits. This is a report from a fugitive. What do I mean by worst board game box on my shelves? The worst artwork? Everyone's a critic. The hardest, shiniest, heaviest, bulkiest box it's sheer toil to take down from the top of a bookcase. I can store almost all monstrous games lower down for ease of use. Oddly shaped boxes? No, they're all pretty much box-shaped. A few pretend to be books, though cause no difficulties. I don't have round games, or hexagonal boxes, or triangular strangeness. What do I mean? I mean things that aren't cardboard at all. There are 10 commandments in board game box design. Let us count those. Thou shalt not place thy board game into a receptacle made of metal, for if thou dost, thou shalt call down the wrath of the gaming gods. Cast thy gaze from such madness. Don't put your game in a tin. This is a crime against shortbread and a sin against board gaming. Board game boxes take knocks in a way that tins cannot. Gaming tins are plagued by dents and dings. Dents and Dings was Hasbro's unsuccessful attempt to corner the dexterity game market with a game in a tin, and that is a board gaming fact. Luckily, I only have 2 tins on my shelves. The compendium of games is something I could have picked up in a cardboard or wooden box. At the time, this offensive article was the best selection available. I accepted this fate. Yes, I've made videos with the contents of the tin. No, I don't move the tin around very often. In the tin category, there is, alas, another. Forbidden Desert is the middle child in a trilogy of forbidden games. The tin stays shelved. I remove the game from the tin and repackage it for transport. Curiously, I have no interest in Forbidden Island preceding this game, or Forbidden Sky following on. At least Forbidden Sky dispenses with the obnoxious ironmongery. Cardboard boxes suffer wear and tear, true, but I'd need to be on a gaming house call as the board game doctor and caught up in a road crash for a cardboard box to require fixing with a hammer. Crossing a room with a tinned game is asking for trouble, a town or city trebly so. Why aren't more games sold in tins? The idea is shit, that's why. Cardboard box lids won't deform and fail as lids in the same way as tinned lids will. At least they don't have hinges. Moving on. Dishonourable mention to games with cardboard sleeves, particularly games that are bulkier once unpacked. Fitting a universe of components back into the box leads to lid lift. There are several remedies for lid lift, but only one applies to sleeved games. Don't put the sleeve back on. I have hardly any sleeved games, and I removed the sleeves. Clans of Caledonia is on sale, sleeved, for 2 to 3 times the unsleeved asking price. No takers, I see. Sleeves are annoying. Dao Lung is smaller and sleeved. Once unsleeved and unpacked, that game stays unsleeved when put away. Too cramped to resleeve. Somehow I picked up a copy of the sleeved Kickstarter version of Chocolate Factory. Yes, all 3 games were Kickstarters, though I only backed Clans of Caledonia. Why are Kickstarter games sleeved? This adds the perception of value. I can't think why. Sleeves are a pain to remove and twice the pain to put back in place. I should cover odd-shaped boxes. Yes, I'll return to that later. I have no triangular or hexagonal boxes in my collection. The board game world is packed with curiously built containers. No, wait, that's a lie. Companies persist in foisting the curiously designed box on the gaming public. If the box is hard to store on a shelf, taking up weird amounts of irregular space, think what the bizarre design does to packaging when shipped. Captain Picard tells us that the slow blade penetrates the shield. In retail, the box-shaped box penetrates the marketplace. A quick word on box interiors. Big box, small game. Dead space, bad news. Reduce the size of the box or give us more game. I understand the reasoning behind it. Big box, great art, strong presence on the shop shelf. Bad reputation online in reviews. Better to sell many smaller games using decent-sized boxes. Transportation is a factor there. A padded cardboard insert along the lines of the notorious Death Star trench by Fantasy Flight Games stops components rattling around in transit from continent to continent. You could make the box shallower and achieve much the same effect with a cardboard spacer or two thrown in. Anyway, a needlessly large box is a terrible box. The flip side of that nonsense is the state of affairs brought about by the game that's crammed into a box, jammed in there. The box lid doesn't sit flush with the box. Instead, there's a degree of lift. Mainly the problem stems from plastic components. That awkward lid lift on Santorini never quite went away, no matter how I rearranged the contents. I bit the bullet and stored the plastic buildings elsewhere. Alternatively, the problem lies with punchboard sheets. Flat, they are fine. When you punch all the counters out, suddenly there's more game to your game. Counters are sold in slabs of cardboard, but have to be separated by counter type when made game ready. Flat sheets turn into lumpy cardboard piles. Awkward. So yes, dishonourable mention to games in the wrong size of box. It's done for economic reasons as well as reasons of style, or no reason at all. That means this festering problem isn't going away any old time soon. Windows are just no good. Don't put windows in your game boxes. Yes, you want to show off the product, but here's a hardcore gaming commandment. Thou shalt place graven images of thy game on the rear of the box, for that is the way. If you do art on the cover without showing game pieces there, by law you must place pictures of game components on the rear cover. That allows colourblind players to determine if it is worth purchasing the game. Even in this digital age of board game enlightenment, game companies are still extending a vaguely reddish-brown middle finger to those gamers with assorted variations on colourblindness. Put the details on the back of the box. Don't build a plastic window into the box cover. Why not? Structural integrity. There isn't any. The box lid must be thinner to cope, and on the inside, components may clatter against the plastic window, puncturing or warping it. It's a board game jailbreak. Tatsu is a backgammon-style game with dragons. I say backgammon, though the shape of the board conjures up images of Ludo. Luckily for you, if you're interested, the game was eventually reprinted without the window in the box. The windowed version is rubbish to open and close. It's not even a window attached to the box, but rather the top half of an insert. The bottom half accommodates all the playing pieces anyway, rendering the top half redundant once unpacked. That Mickey Mouse shape only holds the player discs for one purpose, to show them off to the potential purchaser. You see the components on the back of the box. I'll give them that. The company bowed to an internet of criticism and repackaged the game. Tins and windowed boxes cause storage problems. The more gimmicky the box, the greater the annoyance. What do I mean by gimmicky boxes when I bring up the topic of gimmicky boxes? I have a few, and they are limited in their gimmickry. These are sealed by magnetic clasps, and I have no problem with that. Onitama stores the game as well as it could. Miskatonic University pretends to be an ancient tome, another magnetic clasp, and that's fine. On a side note, it's the Onitama expansions that cause the bother. Troublesome board game expansions? That's a topic for a whole series. To maintain a sense of identity, the expansions have the magnetic clasp packaging. One expansion is merely a set of cards. The other bundles a set of cards with a single playing piece. These cards don't lie flat in the box, creating unusual slices of dead space in there. You couldn't, wouldn't, shouldn't put both expansions together in a very long box. That's even worse. Okay, I see the company struggling with a solution. Not a great one. Awkward, gimmicky boxes. What is the worst board game box on my shelf? Companies consider size of box, shape of the product, the artwork. Yes, there's a separate category for most misleading box art on a game. If that error is conveyed on the back of the box as well, then you're in big trouble. How many misleading boxes are there on my shelves? Hard to say for certain. The World War II games convey that theme. Abstract games generally come across as abstract games. Cascadia might not necessarily give that impression on the front of the box, but it damn well makes certain that potential purchasers know all about it on the back of the packaging. How harsh should I be when discussing the so-called worst game boxes on my shelves? The game must survive transit to the owner. At that point, the game may already be sitting ripe for play inside an excellent box insert. Box inserts are a category unto themselves. The game waits to be punched out, unfolded, unclipped, unzipped, liberated, freed, cut loose, cut apart, unthreaded, unravelled after being well travelled. There are loads of considerations here, including the loads themselves. How heavy is this crate anyway? In summary then, tins are no good as boxes. Windows are not required when you have the back of the game box to serve as further advertising. Gimmicks and odd shapes as well as dubious constructions are sent to plague us. We may do away with the box entirely if the components need proper sorting out in containers more suited to the purpose. I'm looking at you, Fortune and Glory. The only thing stored in the box now is a plastic insert and the free CD soundtrack, neither of which is essential for play. Believe me. Can I name the worst board game box on my shelves? This comes down to two contenders. One is a game featuring tiles as a low-rent board. On reflection, I suddenly recall that the box sneaked into the odd shape category. Third-party sellers with access to foam, polystyrene, or arcanely constructed 3D printed inserts have tied themselves in knots online and off to create a storage device, making this game easier to pack away in its awfully arranged box. Of course, I'm talking about Burgle Brothers. This is the poster child for putting all your effort into designing a game and giving the box no more than a half-imagined afterthought. Just fucking atrocious. But not the winner. No. Number one, with a bullet, is Burgle Brothers 2. I knew what I was getting into when I bought this. When you receive a letter later giving advice on gluing the product to counter its design inadequacies, that merely confirms your low opinion of the contraption. These games are ideal for filming using an overhead view, so no, I won't be constructing the full 3D Jenga tower of fiddliness, thanks very much. I can slide the camera along from one floor of the building to the next. Both games would benefit vastly from being housed in conventional boxes. And yet, I've lied to you. The whole video is a lie. Worst board game box on my shelves is a tin, and the winner, number one, with a revolver full of bullets, is Forbidden Desert. Yes, the worst box is a tin. It should be a box. There are world-weary people out there in the dark prepared to defend the metal packaging. If your defence involves car maintenance tips on removing dents from the bodywork, you have no defence at all. There are dozens and dozens of boxes on my shelves and only 2 tins. The generic compendium tin is tolerated, but even that, barely. What are the 10 commandments of board game box design, then? I don't know. They vary based on mood, trends, and on the phases of the moon. Thou shalt not place thy board game into a receptacle made of metal. A great place to start. It's all downhill from there. Thine place of board game worship is a hallowed place, and thou shalt construct a door thereto, and call it the lid. But hold, for thou hast not been granted the right to place a window upon that shrine. Away with that heresy. Woe unto those who worshippeth the graven image upon the lid. Art is one thing, but a good clear photo of the game components upon the back of the box is essential, bitches. Thou shalt place graven images of thy game on the rear of the box, for that is the way. The purchaser looked upon the box, and the box was good. It was a sturdy box, not a flimsy box, and the box did not exceed a cubit in length or breadth. The box was uniform, regular, and praised. It was not hexagonal in shape, or in the guise of a factory, coffin, or vehicle. Thou shalt not place thy faith in a box of odd shape, difficult to store, and annoying for people to sell. Be cautious. Thou shalt fill the box with all the goods of the earth. For if thou stumblest in this simple task, the purchaser will accuse ye of filling the box with the empty sky, and reviews alluding to this error will follow as a plague of locusts upon the product. Better to place thy game in a smaller box than to something dark side. Thou shalt commission original art for the cover of a box dedicated to a moving picture, and not resort to stills from that film or TV show. The purchaser will look upon the art and deem the art faithful. Woe unto ye if the box art be not faithful, or if grainy still photography be employed thereupon. If thou marketh not the box with the accurate sign of the player count, ye shall wander in the desert 40 years, or the length of a Twilight Imperium game, whichever endeth first. Do not burden us in pretending that the 3-player minimum count in the rulebook allows 2 players to attend the feast as listed on the box. For the purchasing world is a wrathful world, and a vengeful one. Thou shalt endure the jeers of the crowd, who mock ye for stating the playing time of the game. For it is known far and wide that the gaming crowd is a crowd of unbelievers. Ye must convert the unfaithful by accurately reflecting the playing time in the box, and spreading the true word. This path is a lonely, flint-filled one, and praise be unto ye who sticketh to the true way. For the gates of gaming paradise will be opened unto ye as the unbeliever joins in worship of the true playing time, when listed accurately in the scripture. Woe unto ye for not placing the name of thy game upon the box. Ye shall be tattooed with the mark of Cain upon thine forehead, and no purchaser will touch the product. Thou shalt not sleeve thy game box. The sleeve is cast into the wilderness, stored beneath many games, and little profits the designer. Thy scribe will face death by 1,000 cuts, should the scribe's fateful words be writ upon the box. Fateful words to avoid are unique, fun, interesting, innovative, classic, and other similar terms that the players will decide, not ye. And that really is a board gaming fact.